with Morgan from Acolyte, the lead vocalist, ahead of their brand new album, which is dropping on the 14th of May. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Mon.
So the band has been around since 2016 and you kind of disappeared off the radar a little bit in 2020, and then all of a sudden you just seem to burst back with a vengeance and announce your signing to Wild Thing, the label, and you've come out with 3 new videos and singles now, and you're dropping the album, as I mentioned, on the 14th of May. You got busy.
Yeah. I mean, we held back a little bit too because we knew we wanted to put all of our ducks in a row, as it were, before coming back this time. When we did our first EP, the bassist and I wrote most of the first record with our best friend, who was the guitarist at the time. Mm-hmm. We always wrote that with the idea in mind that we were going to attract our full band for the next sort of phase of our career. And that's exactly what we did and how we laid it out. But it does take time on the road and in the studio to sort of find that mix together with those new people to be exactly what you envisage it to be. So I guess that's what took time, but we're really, really proud of where we ended up.
And how did you find the new band members?
Just on it. Well, we're live playing Maniacs, really. We've toured Australia so many times and we've found these people on the road as we've gone through. They've watched the way we play. We have a very different soundscape, I think. We don't really fit into any category, which I love, but at the same time, takes a brave person to step into the whole mix and see if they can add what they want to have in there as well, because we're not defined. And I think that's the best part. But we just found these people on the road with other bands. They asked if they could jam. And once we found people that could really, really sit with us, they became the next phase, Acolyte 2.0.
I love it. So your latest single, Resentment, was released just a couple of days ago with a fantastic video clip. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, from the title, I can kind of get an insight into what the song's about, but could you tell us a little bit about some of the meaning behind the track?
Yeah, so it's been interesting with the singles because I've written the album as a full conceptual piece. As you listen to the record, every single song flows into the next. There's almost no, space in any of the music. So Resentment is one of the singles that got chosen because it's one of the shortest ones. It's one of the more aggressive ones. And because all of my topics have been basically laid out like diary entries, it's sort of like it's depicting a moment in time of how I felt at that very, very moment. Just dealing with just being angry and just not fulfilled with a bunch of things that were happening around me. That was people, but it was also situations. At the time, I was recording the record with a really bad case of chronic fatigue. So I was basically going in there for a full 24 hours, laying down really big vocals, then coming home and dying for 3 days and then going back in and doing the same thing. So Resentment is just basically the anger of that entire time, all in one song.
That must have been really hard dealing with the chronic fatigue and trying to lay down vocals, which as a vocalist myself, I fully understand not only the energy that you give from a physical standpoint, and especially with you, I mean, you're belting and you're putting a lot of dynamics into your vocals and they're really, really powerful. But it's not just that, it's also the mental fatigue that you get from, the mental and emotional, thinking about placement and notes and phrasing and everything, but also the emotional stuff that comes along with, I guess, bearing your soul. How did you sort of recoup from those sessions during, that you mentioned 3 days that you would have to have off afterwards? Is there any practices that you put into place to kind of get that energy back?
I think the best practice for me at the time, it actually kept me sane because it was something that gave me purpose during that time. I knew that when I was going to hit this record that it was going to have to be absolutely personal, which is something that I don't generally do. All of the things I've done previously have sort of been folklore and all these sort of witchy things and stuff that I like out of my mind. But this time I didn't really have any choice but to look introspective at myself and the situation. And by doing that, it's going to be a very therapeutic experience or it's going to absolutely kill you. in the moment, because it's not something that you're looking at in hindsight, it's something that you're looking at in the mirror right then and there. So for me, I was just going in there and giving it literally everything I had until the minute that I couldn't. That was the best way I could do it. I was going to be tired or I was going to be affected either way. So the way I dealt with that was just give it 110% every time I was in there.
Yeah. And I guess coming out and knowing that you were going to come out with this beautiful product, which is the album, which is named after your first single, Entropy.
Yeah.
So as a whole, what can people expect of this album?
I think I've basically taken my own experiences, but I've laid them back a little bit so people can relate to anything if they've basically experienced loss in any kind of way. And it could be, you know, down to the loss of a limb, really, or a loved one or a loved thing or a possession or even themselves, which is what I've done. I've written it, it's a dark album, definitely. You're not going to be elated at the end and you're not going to be resolved. It's going to leave the person feeling like there's just that glimmer of hope, kind of like the old albums used to do, sort of like your Jeff Buckley's and things like that, where you put it on, you're not expecting to feel great after it, but you're expecting to just feel that entire record all the way through. That's what this record should do for you.
I love it. I love it. So what's next? Where can people pre-order the album, and what else do you have planned for 2021?
Yeah, so we were lucky enough to receive a Victorian Arts grant this year. So we've put that to a live stream show that will be coming up soon, so that all of our new overseas people can see us at the same time as our Australian fans, because inevitably we'll be back on the road, because that's what we do and that's what we love here. So that'll be coming soon. If you want to pre-order the album or any of the music or pre-save anything that's coming up, jump on any of our socials. It's got everything there for you, but primarily on Wild Thing Records, or you can jump on Blood Blast Distribution. They're our big one.
Love it. Well, Morgan from Acolyte, thank you so much for joining Maniacs today. And we can't wait until the album's released so we can give it a spin.
Thanks, Mon. You're the best.
Thank you.